जय हो 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 आत्मविद्या जय जय हो, ब्रह्म विद्या जय जय हो, आत्मविद्या जय जय हो, ब्रह्म विद्या जय जय हो,
आत्मविद्या जय जय हो, ब्रह्म विद्या जय जय हो, आत्मविद्या जय जय हो, ब्रह्म विद्या जय जय हो,
आनंद विद्या जय जय हो, आरोग्य विद्या जय जय हो, आनंद विद्या जय जय हो, आरोग्य विद्या जय जय हो, निर्वाण विद्या जय जय हो, भाग्य विद्या जय जय हो,
आनंद विद्या जय जय हो, आरोग्य विद्या जय जय हो, आनंद विद्या जय जय हो, आरोग्य विद्या जय जय हो, निर्वाण विद्या जय जय हो, भाग्य विद्या जय जय हो,
श्वास विद्या जय जय हो, दिव्य श्वास विद्या जय जय हो, ज्ञान विद्या जय जय हो, दिव्य ज्ञान विद्या जय जय हो, जय हो जय हो जय हो जय हो। संकल्प शक्ति जय जय हो, इच्छा शक्ति जय जय हो, संकल्प शक्ति जय जय हो, इच्छा शक्ति जय जय हो,
संकल्प शक्ति जय जय हो, इच्छा शक्ति जय जय हो, संकल्प शक्ति जय जय हो, इच्छा शक्ति जय जय हो,
ज्ञान जय हो कर्म शक्ति जय जय हो ज्ञान शक्ति जय जय हो कर्म शक्ति जय जय हो स्वाध्याय शक्ति जय जय हो ध्यान शक्ति जय जय हो प्राण शक्ति जय जय हो दिव्य प्राण शक्ति जय जय हो पिरामिड शक्ति जय जय हो दिव्य पिरामिड शक्ति जय जय हो जय हो जय हो जय हो जय हो सत्य हिंसा जय जय हो शौच संतोष जय जय हो सत्य हिंसा जय जय हो शौच संतोष जय जय हो
सत्य अहिंसा जय जय हो शौच संतोष जय जय हो सत्य अहिंसा जय जय हो शौच संतोष जय जय हो
श्रद्धा दीक्षा जय जय हो बुद्धि प्रज्ञा जय जय हो श्रद्धा दीक्षा जय जय हो बुद्धि प्रज्ञा जय जय हो श्रद्धा दीक्षा जय जय हो बुद्धि प्रज्ञा जय जय हो
श्रद्धा दीक्षा जय जय हो बुद्धि प्रज्ञा जय जय हो श्रद्धा दीक्षा जय जय हो बुद्धि प्रज्ञा जय जय हो
मैत्री करुणा जय जय हो दिव्य मैत्री करुणा जय जय हो समता शांति जय जय हो दिव्य समता शांति जय जय हो जय हो जय हो
Divine Evening Masters. So that was a wonderful song by Patriji, Brahmashi Patriji. I welcome you all to Holistic Buddha. So let's begin our session with 20 minutes meditation. Make yourself comfortable and cross your legs, clasp your fingers, and gently close your eyes. Just keep your awareness on your natural breath. Meditation means being aware and emptying your mind with help of breath, being with breath, your natural breath. Gently come back to your body's awareness. Observe your body. Open your both palms and place them over your eyes for 10 seconds. And gently open your eyes. Let's be thankful to the universe for this meditation, for the opportunity of the meditation which we got in our lives. Thank you, Masters, for participating in today's session. Now I hand over to Master Asha.
Atmavandan Masters, thank you for joining today's session. So today we have a slightly different type of presentation. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about the environment impact of the food we eat. So how our food choices affect the environment in terms of global warming, in terms of pesticide usage, water usage, waste generation, and land, water, pollution, and other things. So, this is a very important topic because just like the food we eat impacts the ecology of our body, in the same way, the food we eat also impact the ecology of Gaia, which is our Mother Earth. So SWAG, which who's one of the missions of SWAG is save water and go green. That is doing all that we can to reduce the environment footprint of what we do on our planet. So, a very important topic about how plant based foods reduce the environment impact we have with our day to day living, reduce the footprint we utilize on this planet, and how animal based foods have an enormous impact of the on the environment. So, this is what we are going to learn. So, I had always been someone who was very environment conscious, very sustainability, very into the sustainability mindset, or at least that's what I thought. I never knew about the impact of my food choices on the environment. And one of the first documentaries which opened my eyes to the environment impact of the vegetarian food I was consuming was Cowspiracy. So, has anyone watched this documentary? Can you put it on chat? Have you watched any environment documentary which talks about the impact of the food choices we make, in particular Cowspiracy? Have you heard about it or have you watched it? Heard but not watched. Okay. So it's available for free viewing on YouTube. I highly recommend you all to watch that. It's a real eye opener. I will be showing a small clip from that documentary, but even otherwise, there are many other things, which open our eyes to this. I'll be sharing some resources after the call. So let's start. So today is day 19. We are going to be talking about the environment impact, water usage, land usage, and waste generation of animal-based foods, and hence what is the importance of choosing plant-based foods. So a new study published by the Science Direct Foundation showed that the global food system is responsible for 25 to 30% of human greenhouse gas emissions. And just eliminating meat and dairy from our diet would not only stop deforestation but allow massive new forests to be planted to absorb carbon. So, a lot of important terms mentioned here. So you see the term greenhouse gas emissions. So I think many of you know what are greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are those gases which have the potentiality to warm up the earth and cause change in the weather patterns, to cause the average temperature of the earth to increase, and cause widespread change to climate, and hence a lot of impact across the world over. So the primary greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And we always think of carbon dioxide, coming from, let's say, transport. But methane and nitrous oxides, these two gases are having a more stronger impact on the environment because their lasting power and the proportionality of destruction is more. Methane comes from the uh, when animals, when they fart or when they exhale, they give out methane. So specifically because these animals, they have a lot of fermentation happening in their gut, so a lot of methane is given, which has a widespread impact on global warming. Also, nitrous oxide is released when a lot of fertilizers are used, and the nitrogen escapes, and it combines with oxygen and forms nitrous oxide. So 25 to 30% of greenhouse gases are actually coming from food production. Isn't this shocking? For me, it was an eye opener because I always thought, like how the media has been telling us that it's actually the vehicles you use, right? Go use a public transport, don't use, your car all the time, or traveling by air is bad, those kind of things. Of course, those also have an impact, but by far, when you look at, the statistics that one third of the global greenhouse gas emissions are coming from our food system, it's indeed something we have to really understand, look into, and see how we can reduce our impact on the environment. So, you know that the rainforests which are there in primarily in few countries of the world, like Brazil, in South America, then the equatorial belt in Africa, and certain countries in Southeast Asia, like, Philippines, Indonesia, and all these places where rainforests are there. How these rainforests actually regulate the entire climate and temperature of the earth, right? So these rainforests are like lungs of the earth, and when these rainforests are cut down or they are subjected to destruction, the effects of them are not localized to only that country. So it spreads worldwide because we are all interconnected, right? The climate patterns, the ocean currents, the weather, everything is interconnected. Though we may call these as different oceans, for example, the entire water body of the earth is one. It is just one ocean, right? So just like that, whatever happens in one place in the world has the potentiality to disrupt whatever else is happening throughout the world. So animal agriculture is a term which denotes growing food for animals. So today, animals are being bred in large numbers for the meat and dairy industry. And because of the huge numbers of animals involved in the meat and dairy industry, a lot of agriculture, that is food crops, especially grains, soya beans, oil seeds, corn, maize, uh, grass, all these things are being grown for animals. We think that a lot of land is being destroyed for humans, but actually, we are much smaller compared to bigger animals like cows, right? So we can't eat that much. So actually, the majority of the land usage for agriculture is for animals. So this is something which we really don't know about. And you can see how forests are being cleared up on a massive scale every day by the slash and burn method. Large tracts of rainforests, which have taken thousands of years to grow, can be easily destroyed by mechanized culling of trees and clearing the land in order to provide pastures for grazing animals or even just to grow feed for animals. So that is animal agriculture. And 91% of the Amazon destruction is happening because Brazil, for example, is one of the biggest producers of meat, especially beef. So a lot of these rainforests are being destroyed for animal agriculture. Same case even in Southeast Asian countries, a lot of land is being, forests are being removed to grow soya bean and palm oil, both of which to a large extent is used for animal feed and also for processed foods. So we already covered, the importance of reducing processed food in our diet. So when you see even vegan food, right? So vegan food which has something called vegetable oil used in it or palm oil, a lot of it is actually coming from the palm oil grown in these forests. In fact, India is the biggest importer of palm oil from Indonesia. And Indonesia is a hotbed of rainforests, right? So a lot of rainforest destruction is happening because of the usage of oil in our country. We have a huge population and we use a lot of oil in our cooking, especially street food. So that's primarily mostly palm oil, which is actually adulterated and mixed with other kinds of oil, and we use a lot of it in our processed food and street foods. So, indirectly, our food choices are impacting not only the ecology of our country, but the ecology of many countries around the world, specifically those countries who are, in lower GDP and where the population themselves are suffering from the loss of their land. So, today's global food system so today's food system is globalized, right? So everywhere there is import and export happening now because of the airways and very well connected waterways. We can get food and food products from anywhere around the world, and most of the food companies are global companies, MNCs. So the effect of our food choices is worldwide, not just restricted to our country. So it makes sense to really be responsible consumers and think about how our food choices are affecting all these things. Now, here are some other facts about animal agriculture. So, most of it has been taken from this website called Cowspiracy. You can go there and check all these out, and they have even given the sources of all these data. So, if you're somebody who likes to collect data, and find out the sources for all this, you're more than welcome to go and check it out. I'll give you references at the end of today's presentation. So, animal agriculture is responsible for 18% of greenhouse gas emissions, more than the combined exhaust from all transportation. So imagine all the ships around the world, all the flights around the world, all the cars, all the private commutes, the trains, buses, everything you combine and see how much greenhouse gases they produce, and then uh, compare it with how much greenhouse gas emissions are happening because of growing food for animals. And the data says that greenhouse gas emissions from animal agriculture is actually more than the exhaust from all transportation. So that is really mind boggling to think about. 5% of water is consumed by private homes, but 55% of water consumed in the US is for animal agriculture. So governments around the world tell you, use less oil, don't use less water, don't wash your car with fresh water. You know, take in summer you will see, news saying that cut down on your bath, don't waste water, be judicious in your storing of water. Yes, those are all very much needed actions. We need to do what we can, but just think about how much water is being consumed for animal agriculture. See, all these are huge animals, right? And then they need a lot of feed, they need a lot of water, and this is all mass produced. So, like the beef industry, the dairy industry, think about all the cheeses, the milk, the meat, eggs, poultry, everything which is there around the world. So you can see a lot of water is needed for this, for the animals, for growing the crops for these animals. So it's very disproportionate. So we really need to focus on those areas which will give us the maximum returns, right? Then livestock. So livestock means animals which are used for food. Their feed occupies one third of the Earth's ice-free land. See, already 70% of the Earth is water. So that leaves only 30%. And in 30%, it is said that 1% or less is only arable land. If you leave out all the land which is covered by ice, which is desertified. Then, if you actually see how much ice-free land is available, it's quite less. And even of that, one third of it is occupied by livestock feed, that is, growing food for these animals. So, livestock covers 45% of the Earth's total land area. One third of the planet is desertified. So it is said that the area of deserts is expanding. So the desert is expanding. The sand, is increasing and moving into cities surrounding the deserts, because more and more of these, the plants around these deserts, the remaining forests, the pastures, they are all being rapidly eaten up by the animals. Three-fourths of the world's fisheries are exploited or depleted. So we have this image in our mind that fish or seafood is coming from a fisherman who goes out in his boat and catches fish, and brings back a little, and that's how he lives his. That's how he earns his livelihood. A very small percentage actually is done this way. Today we have mechanized fishing, where huge trawlers or ships are taken out into the sea, huge nets are cast, and the dredging happens from the bottom of the oceans. So this is one way. And then a lot of fish is actually grown in fish farms. It's no longer coming from fresh water or seas, the natural way. But just like animal farms are there, there are fish farms in which small tanks are there, and fish are grown like plants in these farms, and a huge quantity of fish is grown in a small quantity of water. Because the world's fisheries have collapsed, they are exploited or depleted. So we've now started even farming fish. 90 to 100 million tons of fish are pulled out from our oceans each year. It's not just fish. Because of the way the fishing is done today, a lot of turtles, seabirds, sharks, all these things which are not actually eaten also are pulled out from the sea, and they are just cast away because they cannot be sold. So they also, undergo death and destruction. 80% of antibiotics sold in the US are for livestock. So we think that, we don't want to give antibiotics to our children, we don't want to take antibiotics, but actually, because the animals are being enclosed in close quarters, they are stuffed into small sheds, kept there for years together in their own excrement, they fall sick very often. So because there is really no time for these farmers to give individual treatment for these animals. A lot of these antibiotics are just mixed into animal feed and given to animals. So when we take meat and dairy, we are actually getting a lot of these antibiotics into our bodies also. We are actually growing more than enough food because of mechanized agriculture today. The monoculture we have in food production. Actually, we are growing enough food to feed, it says, 10 billion people. So much more than the number of people we have on the earth, right? So I think it's around 8 billion or something, right? So we are growing more, but it's all about the food distribution. It's all about which countries hold the stocks, how it is priced, and how it reaches people around the world. So a lot of other wastages are happening worldwide. At least 50% of grain is fed to livestock. So we are growing a lot of grain, but most of it, as I said, is going to animals, is going as a feed for animals. Actually, even animals like cows cannot digest a lot of grains. They get bloated and they also suffer a lot because their natural feed is grass. But farmers feed them a lot of grains so that the animals gain weight faster and they can get more money for meat. So, all this is not happening with any conspiracy or any idea to harm us, but this is just business, right? So, these companies who have invested their money, they are just doing business. It's not with any ill intention to, harm the people or cause widespread disease. But this is something we need to be aware of, and we need to know where we have to spend our money wisely. So, if you are actually living a plant based lifestyle, it says that the land required to feed one person for 1 year is just 1/6 of an acre. That's more than enough. And actually, if you are living the healthy, holistic Buddha lifestyle, I think even 1/6 of an acre is a lot, because mostly we will be eating fruits and vegetables with intermittent fasting, right? So, there's not really much we need. If you are a vegetarian, that means you are still consuming dairy products. So it will be 3 times as much as a plant based person. If you are a meat eater, it drastically goes up. So 18 times as much as plant based. So the worldwide report called The Appetite for Destruction says that excessive animal product consumption is responsible for 60% of all biodiversity loss. So biodiversity means the whole gamut of the variety of plants and trees and insects and all kinds of life we have in this on this planet. Every creature, every organism has the right to live independent. But we, like human beings, have devised ways of being selective about only breeding certain kind of animals for our personal use, growing only certain kinds of crops to feed these animals or to feed us. So we've controlled the environment so much. We are doing monoculture, right? So in nature, you will never see only a single kind of plant or tree for acres together. So every plant or tree coexists with other species also, which develops naturally in nature. But when we plant, the same kind of crops in an area, that is like monoculture. So it results in biodiversity loss, and many farmers and governments around the world, to protect the investment made in animal agriculture, they are also killing wildlife. So wild horses, in the US have been killed because they were eating the grass which was meant for the cows which have been bred for meat and dairy. Many other animals also have lost their homes, and they are forced to move because more and more land has been taken away for animal agriculture. So biodiversity loss is a big thing, because the entire ecosystem of the planet has evolved together over thousands of years. So when we are causing all this, widespread destruction in such a small amount of time, getting back this biodiversity is going to take a lot of time. So today there are reports which say that in many places pollination is not happening. So farmers have to pollinate by hand because bees have disappeared, right? Why have bees disappeared? Because bees are not finding the plants they used to go to collect the nectar, right? Because there's only a single type of crop for acres together, and most of it has been sprayed and pesticides put on them. So bees have disappeared, insects have disappeared. So we are now forced to do pollination by hand. So these are really many things we need to think about. If we get our act together, if we eat what nature meant us to eat as per the biological design of our body, everything can be rejuvenated and brought back again. Just like how everything comes back to balance and the body can heal, same way we can help our planet also heal. So I was talking about the greenhouse gases, right? So carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. So methane has the capability to stay longer in the atmosphere, and its potentiality for it's called global warming potentiality. It is 20 times more than carbon dioxide. And methane is coming from the fermentation in the gut of these ruminant animals like goats and cows, who give out a lot of methane. Then nitrous oxide coming from widespread use of fertilizers. It has 300 times more global warming capacity as compared to carbon dioxide. So these are also things which need to be really thought about, because they are really powerful and they can affect the weather patterns around the world. Not only is the impact on land, but there is a lot of impact in terms of the waste generated by these animals. So the more we breed, the more we have density of these animals, they are of course going to provide a lot of waste. So there are statistics which say, for example, a farm with 2,500 dairy cows produces the same amount of waste as a city of 411,000 people. So you can see the enormous disparity here, that there is so much of waste being produced, and it's anyone's guess whether this waste is really being treated or whether it's just going to go and flood the rivers and the seas around the world. It's causing a lot of widespread destruction. It not only causes all this pollution, because these excrements from these animals of course will contain all the hormonal injections pumped into these animals, the antibiotics, the other chemicals which were used in the farming. It all is going to end up in the waterways, right? So it's really a lot of destruction happening from these farms. Now coming to the pollution in oceans, so you can see on the figure in the right, these are known as ocean dead zones. So you can see the orange colored, the discoloration, right? So it shows that actually the waters of the ocean there have become acidic because of the waste runoff from all the farms which are there. So these farms, they are going to give out all the waste which will join smaller rivers, and everything, as you know, is going to end up in the sea finally, right? Everything has to finally go to the sea. So you can see that around these areas, the water has become acidic, and there is not much life in the oceans around that place. So the sea animals, the aquatic animals, are suffering and dying there because of acidification of oceans caused by runoff from these animal farms. Now coming to, the plastic pollution in the oceans. So we think that a lot of plastic is actually coming from the land, from our own indiscriminate usage. For example, let's say the straw we use to drink, coconut water, or the straws used, which are supplied in restaurants, then the plastic wrapping. Of course, these have a big impact, but actually, fishing nets. So, as I said, it's all a big industry, the fishing industry. So, huge amounts of nets are used to catch these sea animals, and they are just left in the ocean for days together. And then these big trawlers come, and then they collect. They finally, they collect the nets where a huge number of animals are trapped. So obviously, there is going to be portions of these nets left behind in the sea, fishing gear and plastic ocean nets left in the sea. Many of these are swallowed by animals. They suffer a lot, and the plastic gets entwined with the on the body of the animals. You must have seen some videos of all that. So when I went to some sea places near Udupi and all that, I also saw a lot of plastic fishing nets washed into the beach. I saw a lot of fishing gear left in the water. So it says that 46% of the plastic waste in the sea is happening from fishing nets. So we really need to put more of an effort on the bigger things. So the more we look at the bigger picture and capture the bigger things, the more impact we can have. That is the faster way of bringing in more uh, you know, mitigation to the amount of destruction which has happened. So here is a graph which shows the amount of milk production in India. Actually, the white revolution, which started, I think, somewhere around the 1950s or so. Earlier, India was not such a major milk producing country. But the white revolution, which started where, it started from Gujarat, where more and more dairy farming was encouraged by the government, subsidies were given. So milk production started increasing. So you can see that it has been steadily increasing over the years. And now there are reports, which I read in the media, that the government wants to have dairy farms in each and every small town also. So for them, that is a means of providing more livelihood to the villagers and bring in more revenue. But we all know what is going to happen with this, right? So there's going to be more land dedicated for animals, more deforestation, people drinking and using more dairy products, which is detrimental to health. Not just that, along with the population we have in our country, also a lot of land and water usage is going to go for these animals. So if you really see that cow's milk, production of cow's milk is very not only land intensive but also water intensive. You can see that it's many orders of magnitude higher, even like let's say 5 times, 6 times, right? More than that. Compared to the other kinds of milk. So plant-based milks consume less water. They are less water intensive, whereas cow's milk consumes a lot more because the animals themselves take a lot of water. Then you have to, use them to wash these animals, and then you have to grow a lot of feed for these animals. You've seen like how much feed a large animal like a cow takes. So if you really see the comparison, that for every 1 liter of milk produced, 800 liters of irrigated water has to be used. So this shows that 12% of national water consumption is going towards dairy farms. So for what? Finally, what is the output, right? We are taking in something which our body is not designed for at all. So not only are we harming the environment, but we are also harming our bodies. So here is another comparison which shows how much water usage is used by plant-based food compared to how much water is used for animals, right? So you see eggs, chicken, pork, cheese, and beef, for example. So here you may be wondering, why are we talking about beef and all that? Anyway, in India, we really don't eat so much beef and dairy. But you may be shocked to know that India is, I think, second or third country in terms of beef exports. We export a lot of beef. So, any guesses where is this beef coming from? How come India is exporting so much beef? Can anyone put on chat? Where is all this coming from? Yes, the dairy industry. So huge number of animals for the dairy farms, and then the male calves don't have any role to play, right? You cannot get milk out of male cows. So male cows are sent for slaughter. It's used by the veal industry. It's used for leather and other things. Then spent dairy cows, just after 20 years or even lesser of their life, once they stop producing milk, obviously the poor farmer cannot keep them without any profit. So they end up in slaughterhouses, and all this is indirectly going to the beef industry. So we have some neighboring countries who get all the cows from India, because in India, in many states, slaughter is banned, right? So all these animals are sent over to those neighboring countries, and all the slaughter, packaging, and exporting happens from there. So it's a big industry. A lot of things are involved. A lot of countries are involved. There is also live export of animals happening. For example, for the lamb, the lamb meat, which is consumed a lot in the Middle Eastern countries, the meat is coming from Australia and New Zealand. The sheep, the goats, and those animals, they are sent via ship for days together to be slaughtered when they land in these countries. So they travel without water, without proper care. They are scared. So they suffer traveling on these ships for many, many weeks before they reach other countries where they are slaughtered. So live animal food trade is also very prevalent. Okay, so moving forward, so you can see that actually we have left very little land for wild animals. See, you can look at this pie chart, right? So humans have occupied so much of land, and then the animals we are rearing for our consumption and use have occupied so much. So how much is actually left for wild animals, right? Even a few hundreds of years ago, there were plenty of forests, right? So our epics and our religious texts talk about how, going from city to city, they had to pass through dense forests full of wild animals, right? So today, all these things have been taken over by animals and humans. Even when, if you see that domestic animals are 65%, but where are those animals? When you go out, do you actually see these animals outside? Maybe you see a few cows roaming here and there, but where are the rest of the animals? In fact, if you are living abroad, you will never see any animals outside also. So if 65% of the land is animals, so where are they actually? How come we don't see them? So they are all confined inside small, small farms, inside sheds where they spend their entire life, right? So these are things we don't give much thought to. Now this map, it shows the cattle density of different places around the world, and you can see that the highest cattle density belongs to India, right? So we have so much of cows and buffaloes primarily, and also other smaller animals. So we have a huge population of such animals in India, which is putting a big strain on our environment. Forests are going off, they are being cleared out for all these farming activities. Not only that, we are also a nation of lot of people, right? So even human density is quite high now, animal density also. So you can only imagine the amount of strain which is happening on the environment. So if you see the use of agricultural land worldwide, for plant-based agriculture, it's just a small portion. That means growing food for humans, like let's say trees and a little bit of vegetable production, but huge amount of land going for animal grazing and growing feed for animals. So livestock is the world's largest user of land resources, with grazing land and cropland dedicated to the production of feed, representing almost 80% of all agricultural land. Uh, I think in India, you can't really make out, when you travel, that so much of land is being used for animals. But abroad, when you travel, you can see these huge areas of land where, for example, maize is being grown. So huge acres, and then at the corner, you will see a dairy farm or some other animal farm. So a lot of it is going towards growing the feed for these animals. So here's a very interesting statistic which says that if everyone reduced the amount of animal products that they ate to meet their nutritional requirements, see, it doesn't even say stop, it just says reduce. The total agricultural land required would decline by 13%. That means nearly 650 million hectares, or an area 1.5 times the size of European Union, would be saved from agricultural production. So when we save it from agricultural production, automatically that land will be available for forests to regrow. Once forests regrow, all the animals will come back, the biodiversity will thrive again. And all this can happen just by changing the food we eat, just by what we put at the end of our forks, right? So it's a choice we can all make. So they say, right, we vote with our dollar. So what we are buying at the supermarket, where we are putting our money, determines all that is happening today in the world. So actually speaking, there is plenty of food for all of us. It's only that the proportion has got skewed. The distribution is all haywire. If we really see, the needs for humans are quite less, but because most of the grain is going for animals, there is a huge disparity in the cost, in the distribution of land, in the consumption of water, all these things. So the solution is very simple: eat plants, right? Eat only what comes from plants, especially eat more fruits, eat more vegetables compared to grain. That again means that even among the even the amount of land which we need for our use also will shrink more, and then we have more land available. We can plant more trees. Actually, we don't even need to plant trees also. If we just fence off land and keep the livestock away, nature automatically has all the mechanisms for for the propagation of seeds. Animals will take the seeds, the wind will take, water will take, and then the forest will regenerate automatically. So the trees become forests, forests will bring back animals, and animals and plants live together and bring back a thriving ecosystem. And this is the way we heal the planet. So I just wanted to um, show a simple video which kind of shows this in a better way, the infographic. It's just a short one. I'm going to share that now. Just give me a minute. Okay, so you saw, how well it has been presented in the form of the video. I was really kind of mind blown when I saw these statistics, and I saw that where should our effort really be. It all comes together wonderfully, right? So when you make the right choice to eat plants, you not only make your health better, you help restore the earth, and you allow animals also to, I mean, allow is not really the word, because they have the right to live free. So we restore their right to live freely on this planet. So it's a win-win for everyone. So we have to move from a normalized culture of violence to a normalized culture of non-violence and compassion. So let's call ourselves Homo Ahimsa instead of Homo sapiens, right? So we are in this unique position where we can be the caretaker of our planet. From we have to move from competition to collaboration, from a culture of consumption to cooperation, from monocultures to biodiversity, from ecological overshoot to ecological thrivability, artificial scarcity to natural abundance, hierarchical to cooperative, and conspicuous consumption to conscious simplicity. And yes, we can all do it. We can do it together. We can spread this message. We can think about how we are choosing to spend, how we are choosing to spend on a day-to-day basis, which collectively will have a huge impact on the world around us. We have to make this effort. We have to overcome this inertia and really make the effort to protect this planet for our future generation. We cannot leave this, the planet the way it is, and hope that the next generation is going to take over from us and do something magical. We can start from today where we are. So thank you for listening to today's presentation. I have taken a lot of data from these websites. So Climate Healers, Truth or Drought, Livestock's Long Shadow, which is actually a report by the Food and Agricultural Organization, and then Cowspiracy and Vegan Street. So I thank these organizations for providing such great statistics and infographics, which like really brings together all these big figures which we can't really think about in our mind, but they have brought it, in terms of simple infographics and graphs and pie charts, so that we can really visualize what is happening. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to share today. And I have a lot of material related to all these. So if we have some environment enthusiasts in the group, I am very happy to share all this information to you. I have also given presentations in schools about plant-based food, about plastic pollution. Then I have some material related to Earth Day. So I used to go and give, these talks in schools. So I'm very happy to share these materials with all of you. We really need to, plant these seeds in our next generation. Our children automatically know, all these things. They have so much empathy for animals. They love taking care of the environment, but they need to also know about the larger picture. So I have some material with me. I have ready-made PPTs. I have reports. So if anyone of you wants to make use of it, you're more than welcome. We have the Earth Day coming up in April. Then we have the World Environment Day coming up in June. Then we have World Vegan Day in November. So there is no dearth of opportunities. Um, I I encourage all of you to go speak to your schools and spread the message of health, of environment protection, of compassion, to all these young minds. When we catch them young, it really makes a big impact on them, especially when we show them visuals, right? They can readily see the change, and especially there are organizations who provide ready-made materials for speaking in colleges. See, when we take this message to colleges and high school students, right, they are actually making food choices. That is the age when they start making food choices, right? So they are eating out of home. They are developing this coolness factor, peer pressure, and all those things. So imagine the impact which we can have by spreading the message in such places. So if some of you are teachers or you're teaching in universities or you have access, please do share all this information. I'm very happy to share all this, information with all of you. So please do message me in the group and I'll share it with you. So I really thank Swag for giving me this opportunity to speak about this topic, which I'm very passionate about. uh, it was really funny, like when I turned plant based and I got to know of all this shocking information, I wanted to tell the whole world, right? So catch anybody going on the street and give them all these statistics. But you discover that people are not ready to hear the truth, right? So it just, many times the message just doesn't go through. But then here is an audience. I found that, we've set the stage with health, how important plant-based food is health. Plant-based food is for health. So now we can look at the other things also. Because we have made the right choice now, now we are more open to see that, yes, my choices are having such a good impact on the environment also. And I'm feeling really good about it, right? So thank you for listening to me so far. Um, yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take. But I would like to say that I'm not an expert in, like too much detail, so I can share what I know. So if you have any questions, I am happy to answer. Yeah, so there are some questions here. Yeah, please share information regarding chips, biscuits, cornflakes, Horlicks. Yeah, so all these are processed foods, and you may be surprised to know that many of these companies, these products, they are using the byproducts which are actually waste. For example, the husk of grains are used to make many of these health drinks. Then the supplement industry, for example, uses the waste products of other industries and makes all these colorful pills and tries to sell it off. Even the oil industry, after extracting oil, all this is given as animal feed, or they sell it as bran, which they sell it for a high price and ask us to add back the bran to your rotis to make it more full of fiber. So a lot of recycling happens. So we are fragmenting food, refining it, paying for it, eating it, getting sick, then eating supplements which are made from the waste products of the fragmentation, right? So we are actually, I don't know, wasting a lot of money in all this cycling which happens. It gets exploited. So especially the birds in the broiler industry, right? The egg industry. What's happening? Yeah. So that they suffer the most. They undergo a lot of suffering, and a lot of ammonia and other things are produced because these small farms, they are never cleaned. So these animals stand in their own feces. They really undergo a lot of stress and unhappiness in the short life they lead, right? So, Cowspiracy is one of the finest documentaries you can watch. It's available for free, I think, on YouTube. Then I will share information about other documentaries you can watch. Home is also another documentary with stunning visuals of Mother Earth. There are visuals of how beautiful it is, but also visuals of the destruction which is happening. Yeah, so that's one thing. And then there are other documentaries which are not directly related to environment, but yes, like you have Seaspiracy, which came after Cowspiracy, which talks about the seafood industry. That's also very mind-boggling to watch. Then there is Blackfish, which talks about the animal entertainment industry. So remember, Parinita had shown us, how we should not use animals even for entertainment or for travel, right? So how these animals are captured, like dolphins, fish, turtles, all these are captured. They are separated from their families and then they are put into all these small enclosures in the form of sea world or aquariums. We pay and go to watch these animals, but they are all swimming in very small areas, right? For example, sharks and all these animals which like swim for kilometers in the open ocean, they are forced to swim in those small enclosures. And visiting zoos, right? That is also something we need to think about because these are all artificial environment for animals. So a lot of trading happens for capturing these animals and trading them to put them in zoos. So I personally don't visit zoos or other entertainment industry than using elephants for riding, or horse riding. These are also things we need to think about. Even purchasing cosmetics, right? For example, buying cosmetics or ointments, if it's nice if you can see whether it has a vegan label, because many of these are tested on animals, like monkeys and all these cosmetics. They are skin tested. These animals go through a lot of torture and pain for getting these products tested. So even if you are buying any cosmetics, toiletries, for example, toothpaste and all those things, please buy stuff which has not been tested by animals. You can get yourself better educated on which are these companies who are testing on animals. So try not to buy from them. Yeah, so these are all things which we need to think about, and also buying uh, products which have palm oil. So palm oil is again a very intensive farming kind of production which is done. A huge number of animals are displaced from their homes to grow palm trees. Palm trees and palm fruit, it's very lucrative. So they produce a lot of oil. So giving up oil, not using all these biscuits and other stuff which is made from palm oil is also something we need to think about. See, many of us, like, for example, children, teenagers, they are not really interested at that phase of their life in health, right? But when we speak to them about the ethical angle or about the environment angle, then they are more open to making changes and they are willing to listen to the message. So that is another thing which you can talk about. So, okay, there are a few people wanting to ask questions. So Nidhi. Hi, Nidhi.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, two, three things, ma'am. Any videos which we can show to kids, ma'am, because I don't want very disturbing scenes also that they watch, and something related to kids that they may watch and like they can understand, or even if not understand, then at least it gets into their system that this is what actually happens. And ma'am, secondly, I was about to ask you, ma'am, regarding this toiletries and cosmetics and all, ma'am. Ma'am, like I try hard to find something vegan, but unfortunately, I can't seem to find any such. I stay in Kolkata, West Bengal. So, ma'am, any brands or anything that you know, which like if you have any idea, which we can know, where we can look up to, because but I don't seem to find it over here. So, and like
Yeah,
for
we have
videos,
some
ma'am, about
information.
cows,
Yeah, so
ma'am,
for the
please do share,
first
ma'am. If
question, yeah, sorry, I didn't listen to the last part.
no, ma'am, like for the processed food, dairy, eggs, and all, ma'am, any such videos which we can show to kids, because I don't
Yeah,
want, like, I'm not interested in so much harsh visuals wherein kids they also get affected, ma'am. So, like, simple wherein kids can watch, firstly, and
yeah,
second,
there
ma'am.
are certain documentaries. We will share it in the group. And then there are videos made
Okay.
using, like animation and all that,
Yes,
just for kids. So we will share that information in the group. That's a good point. Um, then for, like college going kids and all, there are like very good speeches given by animal activists, which are really like hard hitting messages which people can watch and understand. And regarding cosmetics and toiletries, I think in one of the sessions, either Smita or me, we spoke about, we really don't need all those things. So the skin automatically, if you hydrate it well with fruits and juices and raw foods, reduce oil and salt and all that, automatically there will be a glow on the face and the skin will be soft. No pimples will be there, all the pigmentation will disappear. But yes, if you want some makeup or you want some creams and all, there are some simple recipes. A couple of them Smita has made. We will share the links on the group.
Okay.
Um, then yes, there are vegan companies which make cosmetics. Uh, I can't remember them from the top of my head because I don't buy them, but I think Smita has the information. She can
Ma'am,
also
I'll
probably
message in the
share.
group. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
message
yeah.
in the group. And ma'am,
Yeah,
one
it's
more thing,
mostly
ma'am.
all these small, companies or entrepreneurs who are making it. So I think it's easier to find them online.
Okay. And ma'am, one more thing, ma'am. Like they say that if your tongue is white, it is not pink. It means that you have digestive issues or your stomach is not clean. So, ma'am, what is the actual reason for like tongue not getting pink or like tongue being white? And what is your take on it, ma'am? Just had
Yeah,
this
it's
query.
true what you said. It's because it's all part of the same alimentary canal, right? So
Okay.
through the tongue also detoxification happens. So especially in the morning time, you will see that there is more white coating on the tongue. That means digestion may not be that good, and some detoxification is happening. There's a coating on the tongue. So like whatever we have explained so far in the program, you have to start make all those changes. Especially cooked food, eating more cooked food will cause these kind of thick coating, and then of course dairy, meat, all those things. The more we eat hydrating foods, the more raw we eat, the cleanup will be, faster and better.
So, ma'am, it
So
will also happen naturally on its own. Like we don't need
yeah,
to clean it with a tongue cleaner every
yeah,
time.
you
That
have
is
to
what.
temporarily, while you're detoxing, while you're still cleaning up, you can use the tongue cleaner.
But it
But
will go off
when
naturally.
yes, it will be
Okay.
clean.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jyotsna?
Yeah. Hi, Smita and Asha. I've been watching your videos from YouTube because this is my work time and I'll be busy with meetings. But I came up on Zoom to thank you both so much. You both brought a wealth of information all these 20 days. In fact, I am into plant-based living lifestyle, but I did have some challenges and maybe here and there some questions, and you both cleared those also. Yeah, thank you so much. I just came up to thank you both. Yeah, from the bottom of my heart. So a wealth of information. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jyotsna. So it's not our information, it's the information which is already there. Like we are just messengers passing it on. So you also pass it on to somebody else who's in
Yes,
need. That's
yes.
the way it spreads. Thank you.
Yes, I do take sessions here in my group and I spread the awareness. Yeah, most of the information and statistics you share, I know, but I guess you shared beyond that. And that session was very impressive. The little Buddhas coming up and talking their own about their own journeys. That's yeah, small kids, so inspiring and motivating. Thank you.
Thank you.
You
We'll
are the change
pass on
makers.
that feedback to them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, I think we have no more questions today. Yeah, so maybe we can end today's session early. So thank you all for joining. I will share more information whenever I get time on the group. So Smita, tomorrow will be the last session or day after?
Tomorrow, we
2
do
more days, right?
Yeah, tomorrow we do Thursday.
Can't hear you, Smita.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll do a little bit of German terrain, and part of the summary I was thinking tomorrow I'll do, and then day after tomorrow part of the summary.
Yeah, so 2 more days we have. So that means we end on Saturday.
Yeah, 28th.
Yeah. Okay.
So for people who have not come for the previous sessions, at least please attend the summary. And then you can catch up.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you all for today's session. See you all tomorrow.
I just wanted to add, Nidhi, we had shared one drive link, isn't it, on the group with all the documents and all that, non-copyrighted documents. I think she's able to hear, right? So I think she's able to hear. So in that link, there is a recipes folder. In that, a good person has basically summarized all the playlists that I have on my group. Okay, in that there is one beauty products karke, there's one group, there's one link. In that there is one moisturizer, and also there is a body wash, both made out of natural ingredients. Body wash can be made and it can be refrigerated. Every day takes that paste and apply to your body. And I've written the recipe and all of those things in the post itself, so you can see the details in the post. The link to that is actually on that, but then the post itself is on YouTube. So more details and video, everything is on YouTube, but the link itself is on that drive link. Okay, because we didn't want to put everything on the group and it'll get lost, so we have compiled everything in that drive link. Under the recipe section, there's one Excel sheet. In that Excel sheet, you can find beauty products. Okay, there are 2 links. One is moisturizer and one is bath wash, a body wash. Body wash can be used for hair wash also. So yeah, both are non-chemical based, so it's actually a good one. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Apart from that, there are lots of companies which make vegan products these days. I don't know whether I'll actually be I'll talk to Asha separately and then see if we have to talk about those companies, because as of now we are not really promoting any products on this group. So if somebody is interested, maybe we can pass it off to them offline.
Yeah. Okay.